Yeah, that's better. You can get it. Marvelous.
Yo, what's good? Welcome back to the channel, y'all. And look, we're not gonna sit here too long. Today is a historical day. Today is a day everybody should be celebrating the release of OP11, gang. Let's get it. Yes, I know the hype is going real crazy right now in the streets. Motherfuckers is quitting their job, leaving they bitch, not even washing or making anything to eat. Everybody is just tapped into the Easter meta because OP11 is finally here. Look, we're not even gonna talk anymore. Let's just go ahead and get straight into our tier list because it's about to be a crazy one, gang. Let's get it. So like I said, everybody's panties is up in the air with their card sleeves and dice. And look, this is definitely a time to be alive. Fact, not opinion. As you guys can see, we do have the brand new OP11 leaders such as the Jinbei, the Nami, the Kobe, the Luffy, the Shirahoshi, and the Katakuri. Can't have both of these right next to each other. Gotta cover some old, there's something new, old and new, you get what I'm saying? But we have all the brand new leaders right here, and I think it's time we come up with a tier list. If this is your first time watching one of our tier lists, majority of the time we're literally spot on. We were the only ones to really call out Blackbeard being the best deck in the format before it even got released. So when it comes to the meta, we actually have a good grasp on what's going on. I mean, the tier list isn't back behind feelings and what if and this could. No, it's back behind facts and statistics here. So without further ado, let's go to get straight to it. But look, before we start, if this is your first time looking at the tier list, as you guys can see, we don't have regular boring tiers here. We have our own crazy tier list. First tier what we have is Shice, next is A1, then we got Brazy, then we got Cold, then we got Dog Water. If you guys do not know what any of these tiers are, because this is your first time here, let's scroll all the way up to the top. Shice is definitely your best decks in the format. I see a couple tier lists out here that actually show you like 5 to 8 different decks as being the best deck in the format. That's not how it works. Nope. It's usually only 2, possibly 3 best decks of the format in this list. If your deck is in this list, this is the cream of the crop. This is what everything else in the meta is striving out to try to beat. So with that being said, that's what Shice says. A1 is pretty much, I would say, like a tier 1. So the tier before us, as you guys can see up here, was S tier. This is tier 1. These are your most second popular decks. These are the decks that still have a really high potential of winning. They're just not as broken, or maybe a card or 2 away from being broken compared to Shice. Fact, not opinion. Next tier we have is Brazy, which is tier 2. Hey, look, tier 2 is not bad. I mean, it's just underneath tier 1. It's just the thing about Brazy, I feel like all these Brazy decks are still, you know, A1 decks. It's just they require a really crazy pilot behind it. I mean, these are the skill ceiling type of decks. These are the ones that you actually have to know what the fuck you're doing. You just can't pick it up like Dofi and just start winning. This isn't that type of you know, section here. If it is in Brazy, you just need to be a very skilled pilot. But this deck, played correctly, can be in Shice, so just think about that. Cold is really you know, rogue, undiscovered. These are the decks I'm going to be putting here where I'm not really too sure, could have potential, and or they're just really deserve to be cold. And then Dog Water to the point where you shouldn't even be bringing this deck, and anything in Dog Water will be in our next tier list. It's going to be a rogue OP10/OP11 tier list before the ban list. Okay, so anything here, absolutely a waste of time. Pretty much, if you're playing anything with Dog Water, that shit is trash, gang.
Trash! Know your fucking place, trash. Fucking robots.
So without further ado, let's go ahead and get straight into it. The first card or leader we gonna speak on is Jinbei's fat ass. Hey, look, I always gotta keep some jokes, right? We got Jinbei here. First time Jinbei's ever been added to the game for the One Piece card game. You guys see the card on the screen. A lot of you guys don't even know what this card does. Let's go ahead and read it. End of your turn, if you have 6 cards or less in your hand, set up to 1 of your fisherman or mirror fork type character cards and add up to 1 Don is active. I'm gonna be real with you. Green always loses to black, and if this deck is anywhere near viable, Lucci and Smoker and even BY Luffy really spins the block. I did some playtesting against this deck in Unlimited. Right now, I see a lot of people in the streets saying this is going to be A1. This is not A1. I'll put this probably in Brazy until it proves itself. A1s are decks that can compete, you know, time and time again with Shice decks. I feel like Jinbei may not be it. I may be wrong, but from what I'm looking at and the support and the cards that Jinbei does have, I'm putting it at Brazy. Just being able to restand any character so it doesn't have a cost limit on what you can restand, on top of re-adding back a Don as well, really goes into the green archetype very well. It's just, I just don't, like, I'm not really too sure about this leader. I'm gonna be real with y'all, but my personal opinion, just looking at the leader, looking at the support and what's currently in the game, I'm gonna have to put this in Brazy, fact, that opinion. Next deck we have is probably the best deck of all time. And if you play this deck, you're definitely feeling like $1,000,000. When you go outside, people ask for autograph. They looking, you know, both ways to see who is this guy walking in the street. You see the card he has in his hand, BY Luffy. You're definitely getting every single bad bitch in existence. You have the most money, fact, that opinion. And you're definitely a delinquent because, you know, this is definitely Shice. I'm putting it in Shice. I mean, let's be real. I mean, I'm definitely not joking, right?
Gee, I hope I didn't scare the cows. I don't want to put them in a bad mood.
I'm just playing. I'm gonna be real with y'all. BY Luffy, no way in hell is it in Shice, and I don't even think it's an A1. Honestly speaking, even though BY Luffy did get some support with the Zeus, you guys see it on the screen, Zeus is a very shicey ass card. As long as Blackbeard is in the meta without it being hit, it doesn't matter what BY Luffy does. I feel like it's still at the top of Brazy, and this is for the Eastern meta. For us, it might be different. Actually, I don't think it will even be different by the time we get OP11 because, like I said, Blackbeard really just spins the block, and GP Luffy is a little fast for BY Luffy as well. There's a couple other decks as well that just outpace BY Luffy. I know that's hard for you guys to understand. Oh wow, well, BY Luffy solo, that's because it's power creep. BY Luffy, Lucci, and Smoker, all these black decks you guys see down here, they were ahead of its time. A lot of these sets are starting to catch up to BY Luffy, which pushes BY Luffy's, you know, ranking down. I would like for it to be an A1, but realistically speaking, no favoritism or nothing like that. It has to be in Brazy. I feel like it's probably might be the top of Brazy. So the next deck we're going to talk about is the People's Champ. Everybody says this deck is going to be probably the most broken deck in the games in its existence. Let's go ahead and read its effect. You guys see it on the screen right now. 4 life, Nami, 5,000 power, Straw Hat Crew type. During your turn, once per turn, when a card leaves your life, you can trigger this. Draw 1 card if you have 7 or fewer cards in hand, which allows you to abuse Hiyori, Flan B, anything that rips a card from any life. This, and you have less than 7 cards. You're always going to have a hand really Shice. Allows you to also to abuse the Big Bomb, the 7-drop Big Bomb. You guys did not get your structure deck Big Bombs. I'm surprised it's not shut up, but that card's probably going to be a staple in this deck as well. Now let's read the second effect. Dawn ×1. When your opponent attacks once per turn, you may trash 1 card from your hand. Give this leader 2,000 power for this turn. So if this card does get attacked, you ditch 1 card from your hand, which will always have a lot of cards in your hand just because of the leader effect, having 7 cards or fewer. This leader is pretty much essentially a 7k leader every single turn. You guys see the power for BY Luffy and what an extra 2,000 power, 4,000 power do. So since this has a blanket 7,000 power pretty much at all times, lowers your counters that you need to use, and also applies pressure on your opponent's turn to invest more Dawn to attack over this Nami for you to, in order for you to really win for this leader, against this leader. I'm sorry. My personal opinion, this is definitely an S tier deck just because of both of the abilities. The first ability, just always being able to have a healthy hand size. Even if you get pudding and you play a flat B, you're already back at 7, so pudding doesn't really do nothing about this. This leader also has access to a lot of the powerful blue removal cards. Blue is the best removal type in the game just because it goes around the KO protection, allowing you to use gravity Blade, Red Rock. You can even use Hound Blades in this bitch. There's a lot of things that you could possibly use with this particular leader, with the blue side and the yellow side always being able to have a chance to regain life or having some type of life manipulation. I've always told everybody blue yellow is probably one of the most broken type combos in the game, outside of like yellow black and blue black. In my personal opinion, I feel like those are the three best types. We just have never seen a cracked out version of yellow blue, and Nami just being able to abuse two crazy ass effects on your turn and the opponent's turn. I feel like this is going to be a very top deck. The only thing that I'm going to say about Nami right now is that it might just be in the back of Shice compared to all these other S tier decks you may have, just because I feel like it just needs to be cracked. That's the only reason why. It's still an S tier deck just based off of stats and what this deck can do, but I feel like this deck is going to take a while for it to get figured out, because a lot of builds that I've been seeing and going against a lot of these other decks playtesting in the past month, I've been seeing blue yellow Nami lose damn near almost every single game they played against any other leader out here in the street. So I feel like it's just going to take a while for people to really figure out the proper list for this deck. But once this deck is solved, I feel like this is going to be by far the best deck in the game, just because of the healthy hand size, the plus crazy with the yellow card, the Flampy Hiyori, like I said earlier, and just having a blanket 7. It just has too many abilities in one for it not to be good. All right, so that's my opinion on that. Another deck that I feel like is still going to be the best deck in the game, I feel like this is still currently the best deck in the game, even with all this power scaling shit, is just because of this GP Luffy. I've been seeing a lot of games in the OP11 meta against a lot of these new leaders with support, without support, and GP Luffy is just still just spinning the block. If this continues with GP Luffy, I could see a ban happening. This deck is just so overwhelmingly good just because of the Sanji pudding, just being able to use that underneath Blackbeard as well is the reason why Blackbeard is really pushed back in the S tier, in my personal opinion. And then on top of that, just being able to have access to Gum Gum Giant, and then ending games with the Sanji, and also the I think it's the 6-drop Luffy, just being able to restand, attack twice. This deck I still feel like is the best deck, which is pretty cool. It came from EBO2, but me personally speaking, I feel like there's no other deck better than this. It just has so many good cards in its disposal, and on top of that, it's figured out. And I don't know, I feel like people are going to try these new decks for a little bit, but they're always going to go back to Overlap after the second, third week, and just off rip, you're probably going to see an influx of all the new characters after 2 or 3 weeks. Since I know this probably won't be solved in 2 or 3 weeks, I feel like this is going to be still the best deck in the format until the ban list comes. That's another thing too. We haven't talked about anything else when it comes to a ban list. This ban list, I'm gonna have to make another tier list for OP11, because the ban list is really going to affect the East, because the ban list mainly affects the East players. So, you know, I don't know what's going to get hit. I predicted Dofi possibly getting hit. I really want Dofi to get hit, and maybe some type of hit to Blackbeard, maybe like a stage or Liberation or something. But outside of that, we have to see how everything really shapes up. But as we're speaking, as of right now, before the ban list, this is the best deck in the form, in my personal opinion. The next deck we have is another fan favorite. Everybody's been asking for this leader, is Red Black Kobe. Let's go ahead and read it real quick. 4 life, 5,000 power, Navy sword. Your sword type characters can attack characters the turn they are played. So the pretty much the archetype with this particular leader gets the Coliseum that you see in blue and black Usopp off rip just in its leader ability. That's why I said this is crazy power scaling. And then also once per turn, when one of your Navy type characters with original power 7,000 or less is removed from play by your opponent's effect, instead you may place 3 cards from the trash on the bottom of your deck. So honestly, off rip, just based off this leader ability, I'm putting this in A1. I wouldn't say at the top of A1. And I don't see it ever being really shice, maybe with the new promo support that did just get added. But my personal opinion, just with these 2 broken abilities off rip, allowing you to have rush on every single sword character, and then on top of that, any character with 7,000 or less that gets removed, you just shuffle that shit trash back into your fucking deck. So that means you get to keep Kuzan on board if it tries to get removed from the field once, which is crazy. Kuzan, this deck is going to abuse Kuzan so bad. I feel like this might be one of the premier black decks out here. I feel like this deck also take Usopp's spot. I feel like Usopp is no longer an A1. I feel like this is going to be the new Usopp version of the black type of decks with a color combo here. And also just being able to abuse a lot of the red cards, such as the Shanks, the Rad Beam, the Gecko Moria. I'm not even sure if he's going to use Gecko Moria because it did get support with Garp, but just being able to have that Navy type in general gives you so many access to so many good cards like Ice Age as well. So I feel like this is going to be an A1 deck, especially with the promo. I don't think it's going to ever be shice because it is a 4-life leader. So, you know, but all in all, this is definitely going to be a shicey ass deck in my personal opinion. Kobe, I'm really hyped to see what this deck can possibly do. Next deck we have right here is, I feel like RP Luffy is definitely going to be in Brazy. I don't think it's going to be necessarily A1, but as long as this deck is the best deck in the format, RP Luffy will always be viable just because it does have a blanket ability of just having 6,000 power. As long as you have 6,000 power and you can contend with the best deck in the format, such as this deck right here, and also being able to attend with this, because now you only have to put 1 Don on your leader attack at 7. I feel like as long as this, it still has a 6,000 leader power, and these decks are still in the format, I feel like RP Luffy is always going to be something to reckon with. This is a really good option to use, but I'm gonna be real with you. Do you guys really want to use this, or do you guys want to use this shit right here? Let's be real. We're about to get into, actually, let's get into this deck right now. So this next deck we're going to talk about is probably one of the most hyped decks I've ever seen the streets talk about, both in the East and in the West. But I play tested against this deck probably a ton, I don't know, probably like around 20-30 hours. And this deck really does lose to aggro. This is none other than blue, purple, Monkey D Luffy. I'm calling this the gasoline Luffy. It does look like gasoline. If you ever seen gasoline, it kind of looks like gasoline, reminds me of gasoline. 3 life, 6,000 power. Let's go ahead and read it. You may activate this effect at the start of your turn. If you have 8 or more Don, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 Straw Hat Crew type card and add it to your hand, then place the remaining cards at the top or bottom of your deck. So the real reason why this card is so good, or this leader is so good, because once you start activating its effect, you're literally drawing 2 cards every single turn. It allows you to abuse both the purple side with Gum Gum Giant, the Big Mom 9 drops, but it's really mainly because of the blue Sanji. The blue Sanji being Straw Hats allows you to search it out, and it allows you to bring out any other 9 drops with that Sanji. So the Big Moms, the 9 drop Luffy, those are usually the 2 main boss monsters I see Sanji bringing out from my testing. But honestly, this deck struggles against aggro, and that's the main thing. But I feel like it can be in the back of A1. I feel like it's an A1. I don't think it's a shice, because it does lose very, very hard to aggro. And the main reason why this deck I feel like is going to be in A1, I don't think it's the best deck of the format. Like I said, it's usually only 2 or 3 decks up here. The main reason why this deck is going to be the premier 6K leader is because it's new, allows you to abuse a lot of the Sanji cards I just named, and on top of that, it goes straight very, very well into this Luffy. Like I said earlier, with this RP Luffy, any leader that has a 6,000 power will go crazy into this the best deck of the format, which is GP Luffy. Okay, so that's just my opinion on it. I feel like there's no way this can be possibly the best deck of the format when it just loses to aggro. Like, I've seen Bello Betty shred this deck because it just fucking just aggro, and get the fuck out. That's what we usually say on the channel. If you aggro this deck down, it's pretty much an auto lose. I feel like it's the back of A1. It could be at the best of Brazy, but I feel like we could put this in the back of A1 right now. The next deck we have right here is Doflamingo. Doflamingo, a lot of people are saying it's getting pushed out of the meta. We actually might have 4 best. Actually, I feel like this might be the best of A1. It used to be in tier or S tier, but I feel like it's still look, it can still be an S tier. I just don't like putting 4 decks. Fuck it, we'll just put it in S tier. This might be the 3rd best. No, I'll probably say the 2nd best deck of the format is this Doflamingo. A lot of people saying it is getting pushed out of the meta, but let's be real. The only reason why it's getting pushed out of the meta because number 1, nobody wanted to play EBO2 no more because OP11 is coming out, and number 2, when EBO2 first came out, everybody wanted to play the new guy on the street, the new kid on the street right here. So that's the reason why Blue Doflamingo did not see any play. And then later on in the EBO2 format, after like 2 or 3 weeks, people started going back to Blue Doflamingo and started having the most representation as well. This particular leader is on ban list watch. I feel like they are going to ban this leader. In my personal opinion, there's no reason to keep it around. Ban the leader. Don't ban any of the supporting cards, because if you ban any of the supporting cards, you start hurting decks like Boa, Crocodile, anything that uses the Warlord engine. You're pretty much hindering that. Boa did just get a brand new art in EBO2, and ďuuⱁ didn't. So I feel like he's on the chopping block. No reason to keep this leader around. I feel like he's going to get turned into a promo. But as it sits right now, I feel like this might be the second best deck in the format until blue yellow Nami gets figured out. Once this blue yellow Nami deck gets figured out and it's like we have the build ready, this could possibly be the best deck. For as it stands for day one, blue ďuuⱁ's still up here. There's really no arguing about that. Still Shiesty ass deck. The next leader we have is this Ｊauhuⱁ. Jauhuⱁ, first time ever seen a leader like this, but like I said earlier, this is a non-attacking leader, and if you guys are new to the card game, this OP11 leader with non-attacking usually never does shit. The only deck I've seen remotely close to do anything is Vegapunk, and even with Vegapunk, he has 2 life, but nonetheless, let's go ahead and reach Ｊauhuⱁ. 5,000 power, Merfolk, Fishman Island, activate main once per turn. You may rest one of your Don and flip the top card of your life face up. You may play up to 1 character card with the Sea King type, or up to 1 Megalo card character card with a cost less than the total Don on your board. I'm gonna be real with y'all. Any leaders that can't attack is automatically going in cold. I don't want to put it in dog water, but I feel like this might just be the trash leader of the set. Just not being able to attack. I don't give a fuck. Unless this effect says you play this, you put 10 Don on this character, you win the game. I feel like these non-attack leaders are just not it. I'm gonna put this in cold. We're not even gonna talk too much about this. The next best deck of the format, I still think is gonna be Blackbeard. To be honest with you, if you guys ever play against a Shiesty ass Blackbeard player, you really can't do anything. You really, I mean, it turns off the fucking game. I mean, just imagine in OP10, a lot of people never even played against OP10 Blackbeard, because all of you guys are still stuck at OP09 until the end of the month. When you actually play against a Shiesty Blackbeard player with the Kuzan, you're gonna realize how broken this deck is. I've talked a ton about Blackbeard. I was one of the only ones, if not the only one, to tell you this deck was going to be the best deck when it first came out. And until something happens to it, I feel like this still is gonna be a best deck. Just being able to turn off 70 to 80% of the game, you can't beat it. You can't beat it. Just like this particular deck, it loses the aggro. The only reason why this deck can even contend, is even in a better position compared to Luffy, is because you turn off 80-90% of the game. That's the only reason why. But nonetheless, this is still probably my top 4. This is my 4 Emperors. These are the 4 best decks of the format. I don't think anything else is on its level of these 4. Mainly this one. I feel like the highest skill potential out of every single other deck has to be this deck until it gets figured out. Once it gets figured out, I feel like this might just take over the whole entire game. Fact, not an opinion. The next brand new leader we have is this Charlotte category. I'm gonna be real with y'all, I'm not a fan of this category. Let's go ahead and read and see what it does. 5 lives, 5,000 powers, purple color, Big Mountain Pirates. When attacking, when your opponent attacks once per turn, -1 Don. Look at the top card of your opponent's deck, then give this leader plus 1,000 power for this battle. I'm gonna be real with you, for this battle is probably its hindrance. If you can actually activate this effect and then stay at a blanket 6,000 power, I feel like this is kind of like a Shanks version of a type of deck. Yeah, you get to peek and see what the life is, but I mean, let's be real, compared to a lot of these other effects that we already read so far, this leader is kind of, I don't know, this leader is mid in my personal opinion. I'm gonna have to put this in cold right here, to be honest with y'all. It's just, I'm not really impressed with this leader at all. Now, so these were all of the brand new leaders so far, so let's go ahead and rank a lot of these other type of decks that we do have, because some of these actually got a boost with OP11. First deck we got right here is Smoker. I feel like this is still the premier black deck in the format, just because you know, you could still do everything Lucci does. The only difference is that you have a very good Blackbeard matchup. I feel like there's really no reason for you not to use this deck instead of Black Lucci. Yes, Lucci is, you know, it can remove the board probably a little bit easier, but let's be real, if Blackbeard really starts running crazy, this is the black deck you're really going to be using. I feel like Rob Lucci is a meta call. Okay, so like if there's a lot of blue Dofis, if there's a lot of GP Luffys, then that's when you bring out the Lucci. But as soon as Blackbeard starts showing up, then Rob Lucci falls off, you know, the planet. You get what I'm saying? Literally goes out into space. Don't know where he is. Think he's on the Zaza. So that's my opinion on this Smoker deck. I feel like it's in A1. I feel like it's the premier mono black deck And Rob Lucci's probably, well, you'll see where Rob Lucci's going to be. The next deck I feel like may be the best A1 deck is Smoker. And let me tell you why. Smoker literally got blessed with everything Kobe got blessed with. That's a navy red character type. Okay, if you guys did not know, there is a brand new promo coming out for what's it called, Kobe. And I don't know when it's coming out, but it's a red navy card, and that might just push Smoker to the next level. I feel like Smoker with that red navy card is going to go crazy. Smoker is also the deck that beat GP Luffy, beat Dofi, and I think he spun a couple Blackbeards as well in the Japan finals. A lot of people just sleeping on Smoker, maybe because everything else is new, but I feel like Smoker with all the new red support in OP11 is the best A1 deck. Fact, not an opinion. I feel like it could even possibly be up here once the promo comes down here and when the ban list happens, especially when the ban list happens. Once the ban list happens, I feel like this is on its way to being S tier. To be honest with you, but you have to be kind of a skill pilot. You have to manage your Dawn correctly and everything. So that's just my opinion on this Smoker deck. But let's be real, you can't tell me I'm not wrong about Smoker when it won the Japanese finals for Nats. You know what I'm saying? So that's my opinion on that. Next deck we got right here is Enel. I'm gonna have to put Enel in Brazy. Enel didn't really get nothing. Enel's never, I feel like Enel's never really going to be a tier 0 deck or tier 1 deck, just because it always loses the board removal. Everybody was hyped about the EBO2 Enel. Oh my god, it's broken, the 10 drop. No, it still has the same, Enel still has the same fucking problems as it always has. I mained Enel, and Enel, yes, it's YGOD, yellow gang or die, YGOD. Shout out to all my delinquents, but I gotta keep it real with y'all. Enel just always loses the board removal, and if you just don't see what you need to see out of your life, you can literally just fucking lose. I mean, that's just me being honest with you. As long as there's a crazy black deck in the format, whether it will be Blackbeard, Rob Lucci, or Smoker, Enel will always have a hard time being the best deck. The only way I can see this deck being the best deck is if he gets some shicey ass support that just pushed him to a whole different level. Everybody thought it was going to be a 10 drop Enel. And even with the 10 drop Enel, it's still not even in A1. So, you know, I feel like Enel's never really going to be the best deck. It's just a really good option for all our yellow gang users. Gang, you know, I'm with you guys for the yellow, but I have to be honest with y'all, I don't see this being anything higher than Brazy. Next deck we got right here is I feel like it's this law. I'm gonna be real with y'all, I'm gonna put this in cold, and not just because it's cold. I feel like this particular deck, green yellow law, just needs to be solved. Green yellow law actually got some crazy support in this particular set with OP11. I just think a lot of people just not opting out to play this deck because it's just way too hard to play. It requires so much thinking. I feel like this particular leader, if done right with the proper deck list, this could possibly be at the top of Brazy or even the back of A1. But you know, I just feel like nobody really wants to learn how to play this deck. It did get support OP11, but I'm just gonna put it in cold. Cold's like a rogue. Like I said, this is S tier, tier 1, tier 2 rogue, and then just absolutely just trash. I don't think it's trash. No way it's trash because it did get support, but I feel like it's rogue. I feel like it just needs to be cracked. That's just what it is. Calgera, I'm gonna be real with y'all. I don't want to put this for Calgera, but Calgera, I thought it was going to do something. EBO2 still didn't do nothing. I'm going to put Calgera in dog water. The only way Calgera can really move its way up is if they ban Doflamingo, and then pretty much this is more of an honest version of Doflamingo. So if they ban Doflamingo and you need a rush deck to probably try to compete with Blackbeard, I feel Calgera could probably take that spot, maybe bump it up to like Cold or Brazy. But as it stands right now in the current meta, Calgera is a dog water deck. It's just the power creep is insane, and you know, I don't know. I don't know what else Calgera needs at this point. I mean, I thought the Enel is really going to help it, but the Enel hasn't done shit. I mean, Enel still, I mean, at this point, I think Calgera just put the Enel card as a poster in the back of his fucking wall. So I don't know what else this deck possibly needs, but it's definitely in dog water right now. Blue Black Usopp found popularity at the tail end of OP10 till we got into EBO2, then you rarely ever saw it. I feel like this is still a Brazy deck. I feel like Kobe took Usopp's spot. The main reason why I'm just not a fan of this deck is just, honestly, it's just kind of slow, to be honest with you. I mean, yeah, the Rebecca combo's cool and cute, but I feel like this is a better version of this particular you know, black color combo, 4-life leader. And you could tell because in the East, a lot of people's not even playing this deck anymore. I mean, when you look at my meta reports, you only see maybe 1, 2. I mean, people are already weaning off this deck going into OP11. And I feel like Kobe's going to take its spot just because the utility of Kobe and ceiling of Kobe is a lot higher compared to blue, black, Usopp. Cool deck, but like I said, Brazy, this is what happens when new sets come out. This is exactly what happens when new sets come out. Zoro, I'm gonna be real with you, this shit's dog water. I don't see anything. I mean, look, Zoro didn't do nothing with the brand new EBO2 support with the animal zoo package, and in this set, I still don't see Zoro really doing anything in this meta at all with all the power scaling that we see here. Law, definitely don't see it either. I put in this dog where I don't see anything with Law either as well. These two are really niche picks, and I feel like these two are definitely going to be in one of our topping decks in the Rogue tier list that we make in the future. Yellow Kid, I'm gonna be real with you. I feel like they could probably be in cold, and this is the only deck that I know so far where I think it probably deserves to be in cold just because of its power scaling. I feel like Kid is on its way. If we have a little bit more power creep, I feel like this deck is going to be on its way to dog water. It's just, I feel like it's just not as good as Enel. It's not as good as Nami. I mean, everything is just getting power creep. I'm not really a big fan of this Yellow Kid in OP11, but you know, maybe I'm wrong, but this is the only deck that I know so far that I know for a fact that this sits perfectly fine in cold. It does no way compete with Enel, any of these decks right here. Absolutely not. Even the Jinbei, I feel like Jinbei has a higher skill ceiling compared to this kid here. PB Luffy, I'm gonna put this in cold as well. It's not nowhere near a dog water deck. I don't know what this deck is really going to do, but I feel like when it comes to actually power scaling, I feel like it's still in cold. This is another proper deck that should definitely be in cold. Okay, so that's just my opinion on Purple Luffy. I feel like, you know what's crazy too is that this particular leader has one of the most craziest looking arts, and they always make the good shit terrible. Shanks, you are now in fucking Brazy. I don't think Shanks is nowhere near an A1 anymore. He was never in Shice, never in A1. I feel like he might even be in the back. Like when we compare Shanks to all these other decks, I feel like Shanks has to be the back of Brazy. Shanks has been exposed when Gavin came onto the internet and exposed as being the most losing deck in One Piece history by the representation and how many losses this deck has. Shanks is just, I don't know what it is. I feel like it's a watered down version of Enel. Wait until the end game, bring out your boss monsters, and hopefully they, you know, you can overwhelm them. This is pretty much a worse version of Enel in my personal opinion. Next deck we got right here is Lim. I feel like Lim could go right here. There's no way Lim could be Brazy. When you compare Lim to all these other decks, does Lim really stand a candle to all these? No, they don't. Lim is definitely cold. It did get a buff in OP10. Nothing, I think a little bit in EBO2. You still didn't really see Lim like that. Lim also had a top 8 finish. And that was the only top 8 finish. Before that top 8 finish, Lim was spinning the block the very first week and the second week. And ever since then, Lim was getting fucked by everybody in pretty much the whole gang at this point. I mean, nobody saw her. She was just the street rap, the thought of the week. Really, that's what the Lim was, and nowhere to be found. I feel like this is exactly where Lim really needs to be. Katakuri. When we compare Katakuri to all these other decks, I'm gonna be real with you. It has to go in dog water. It hurts me to put all these yellow decks here, but it just shows you the power scaling, you know what I mean? I don't see anything really changing with Katakuri. When I'm taking a look at all the yellow cards right now and all this yellow support, yellow didn't really get that much support for big bomb shit. A lot of it was purple. So I feel like Katakuri, this is definitely the right place for Katakuri. Definitely going to be in one of our rogue tier lists. Rebecca, that shit is dog water. It's just the fact that it can attack, and the only reason why it's not in cold is just because we already seen what Rebecca does. A whole bunch of nothing, just come out here with her titties out, and that was just about it. That's the only thing she's doing right now. Looking like another one of these OnlyFans eat dots. Fact, not an opinion. Ploofy is still a good deck. We could put Ploofy still in A1. I still, Ploofy still thinks an A1 deck. It's still always performing. I mean, honestly speaking, let's put it A1. The only thing about Ploofy is that this deck just never fucking wins. Yeah, it shows up in tournaments, but this deck really doesn't do anything, bro. Like, it doesn't win. It rarely ever wins. All these decks I can see, I'm putting this shit at the top of Brazy. I feel like Ploofy is the top of Brazy, bro. Should it be at the top of Brazy? Maybe let's put it in the back of A1. Let's put it in the back of A1. A1, yes. Ploofy does show up, but when it comes to big events, Ploofy is nowhere to be found. And then all the Japanese meta, Ploofy is just nowhere to be found. I'm gonna just put this at the top of Brazy. Y'all can hate me, but look, when have we ever cared about any of your guys' feelings about my videos? I mean, absolutely never. So if y'all get mad because I'm putting purple Luffy below this blue purple Luffy, stop being a pussy. Stop being a bitch. I mean, it is what it is. You just got goobed. I mean, Ploofy's still a good deck. But until this deck starts winning anything, I've lost. I mean, this is like Shanks. This is the second most losing deck right behind Shanks. Shanks was number 1, and right behind that was Ploofy. And this is backed by stacks around the whole world. So I'm getting tired of everybody saying Ploofy's this amazing deck when it just never wins anything. It never wins anything. So I'm definitely putting this shit in Brazy. Next deck we got right here is Perona. Perona didn't get no support. This is going to dog water. Yamato is in dog water. Rob Lucci, like I said, is a meta call. I feel like this could be, let's lower down the this here real quick. There we go. I feel like Rob Lucci is a meta call. If Blackbeard, if Doffy and GP Luffy start going crazy, this comes up. But once Blackbeard and possibly this deck comes in, just because of Blue's board removal, this goes down. So this is just a meta call. I feel like the utility of this deck does not match Smokers, just because Rob Lucci cannot use the Tashigi. If there's something I'm missing with this Rob Lucci, let me know. But as it stands right now, I feel like Rob Lucci is just a meta call. I feel like this is a meta call. Don't worry about the ordering as well with this particular list. We're definitely going to get into it a little bit later when it comes to how we're going to order this tier list. And I also forgot a couple of cards as well, so we'll get into that a little bit later. Next deck we got right here is this Reiju. Reiju is still another deck that's rogue, but Reiju also got support with this set. It being Whole Cake Island, it did get some support, so I'm really interested to see what this Reiju can do. I'm not going to put it in dog water because unlike a lot of these other decks, Reiju's time and time again have showed up, consistently showing up every single week, whether it be locals or even at the bigger scale events. So Reiju is always definitely a very good viable choice, and with the support I do want to know if it does get pushed up to the next level. Gecko Moria has been showing up a little bit at the tail end of OP11 and EBO2, but it's really only like maybe one showing here and there. I feel like this might be the top of dog water, to be honest with you. I mean, we could put this in cold, but does Gecko Moria really contend with any of these decks? I don't think so. I don't think so. When we're just looking at all these decks, I don't think Gecko Moria contends with any of those decks, to be honest with you. Bonnie is another one of these decks that's just fallen out of grace. I feel like Bonnie's still a good deck, but let's be real. Does it really match up to Smoker? Would you rather play Bonnie over Smoker? I wouldn't, especially if all Smoker's support is getting with the Navy side as well, but it's still a good Brazy deck. You know what's crazy is that all these decks in here used to be the craziest decks from OP7 to OP9, which is actually insane. Still a decent deck. I feel like I don't think it probably can go any lower than Brazy in my personal opinion, but you know, Bonnie's just like purple Luffy. They haven't done shit. It's a good deck. It shows up a little bit, but it never fucking wins. It rarely ever fucking wins, especially in the East. So we're just gonna leave that in Brazy. Sugar, definitely dog water. I just put this here because it's a brand new OP10 leader, so I just put the dog water. Boa, I'll put Boa in cold. Actually, I'll put Boa in Brazy. I'll put Boa in Brazy because it did get some support with the brand new blue bounce leader, not leader card from Monkey D. Luffy. It did get some support as well. I'm gonna have to bump up Boa to Brazy, and on top, if Doffy does get hit, I feel like this is going to be the premier mono blue deck as well. So I feel like if you are a skilled pilot, you guys can make waves with this particular leader. This is Red Luffy. This shit is going right here. This is Vegapunk, or Vega. I always call this leader Vegapunk. This is Foxy. This shit's going right here as well. Carrot. We're gonna put this right here. Marco. I feel like Marco's going to get a boost once the Whitebeard and Ace deck comes out, but from where it stands right now, Marco's still trash. Sabo is still trash right here. Kid is still trash. Vegapunk can probably be, I'll probably put this in cold just because the boost from EBO2 has actually pushed this deck to the next level. This deck could possibly even go to right here, But let's go ahead and fix this real quick. We can actually put Vegapunk to like right here, but let's be real, I feel like cold is definitely where it needs to be. Blue yellow ace, trash. We already did this leader. I'm gonna add a couple more decks, just give me 1 second. So we are back. So these are the decks I actually ended up leaving out. When we actually look at the decks we added, they were Bello Betty. If I had to rank Bello Betty, just being able to always aggro, definitely a shiesty ass deck, but you have to know what you're doing. This is one of those decks where I told you if you definitely don't know what you're doing, you definitely can lose. This is a very fragile deck, really loses the board removal, but if the best things in the format is things like this right here, this stocks go up, but until that time comes, I feel like we're still putting this at cold. It's not definitely dog water. I heard some people in the street talk about red black Sabo. That shit's still ass. I don't know what the fuck you guys are smoking. And red green Odin stocks has officially gone up, and I feel like this is probably the back of Brazy here. So this is my particular tier list. When we actually just look at the tier list here, is there anything that should be an A1 that's not an A1? Ploofy, no. Boa, no. Bonnie, no. And L, no. Yeah, I feel like this might be right, gang. I think this might be right. Now let's reorder this here real quick. So this is first. I feel like this is the 1, 2, 3 right here, and then this is the deck that I told you. Once it's figured out, I feel like this could be the best deck. But from all the games I'm seeing, everybody's losing with this leader right now because they just haven't found out the proper build. But once this is properly figured out, I feel like this could be the best one. So, but for right now, just based off its leader ability, this is definitely the deck or the place where it needs to be right now. Smoker's number 1. I feel like this might be correct as well. I could probably put this right here. I have Smoker, BP, Luffy, Kobe, and then the other Smoker right here. And third for Brazy, we do have quite a lot of decks here. I'm not sure if I want to leave it like this. We could put Ploofy at the back of A1. Bonnie, yes. Boa and Nell, yes. This shit fell off. This might be the best deck of Brazy just because it goes really well into this. We're already seeing this deck in contention as the second most popular deck into this deck as well. So, and it also goes into this leader as well. So I feel like this right here can be, you know, probably the number 1 deck out of Brazy. Be by Luffy, but it also gets stopped by this. I feel like this is right. I feel like Brazy is right. This, I mean, when it comes to ordering, I'm not really focusing on ordering. The ordering for these two is what I'm really worried about. All these other decks, this is exactly where it needs to be at. I feel like the most high potential that I don't know about is this particular Jinbei, and then everything else is, I feel like, where it needs to be. All these decks here are trash. We'll have a rogue tier list for all our people crying.
My deck didn't make it. Why is it shut?
Show bitch ass up. Nobody want to hear you bitching. You a grown ass man bitching about a card game. Nobody want to hear none of that. I got y'all next week for a rogue tier list. All right, but yeah, this is my proper tier list that I have for OP11, pre-ban list OP11. Let me know below what you guys possibly think of this particular list, gang. Like I said, I've been searching far and wide for a tier list. I was hoping I didn't need to make one myself, but I haven't found anybody in the streets that made a specific OP11 tier list from the East. So hopefully, you know, I'm right about some of these shits. But yeah, that's all I got. But look, before I go, if you was feeling the vibes, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Go.